My name is Kelsey Fullerton. I do go by Kelsey Ross professionally. I am the CRCO at Excalibur, DDPM, Data Driven Performance Management. And I've been with them my whole entire professional career in the revenue cycle. So a lot of growth that we've been through, and I've personally been through with them. Um, what about you?
So my name's Amanda Heimann. I've been part of Revenue Cycle for just shy of 7 years. But Revenue Cycle wasn't what I wanted to be when I grew up. I kind of, in a winding road, got here. Still not sure what I want to be when I grow up, but no, I actually started out thinking I was going to be a counselor, child and adolescent, psychiatrist, that type of. So I went the whole psychology pathway and landed at FHN. Been at FHN for 12 years here, but the first part of that was in the clinical side, on the office practice side. So, but all throughout that, really data and what does it mean, and even in the psychology realm, when I was working on my bachelor's, is what does data tell us? And it's fun to kind of see the pathway of what the data tells us, and it can tell us a story any way. So
how did you go from your clinical path into the revenue cycle path? They're two different worlds, especially where mental health is concerned. So that's curious.
Yeah. Funny. So actually my mom is a nurse at FHN and has been here for 39 years. And so FHN has been in my blood since I was a baby, taking care of my family that way. And so when I was working professionally as a substance abuse counselor and a clinical supervisor in that role, there was, just like how healthcare is now, what's funding going to look like? It's always the big thing on the chopping block, substance abuse counseling, and wanting to start my own in my personal life. Had just gotten married, wanted to start my own family, needed some good health insurance, all that type of thing. I turned to FHN because they always took care of my family of origin. They're going to take care of my new family. So applied for an operations leader position in the office practice setting, because thinking, there's a lot of similarities between counseling and leadership to some extent. You got to be able to read people and understand people and work with people. So that's how I got into FHN, and then did that for 6.5 years and was looking just for some kind of a change. And funnily enough, so Nicole Dennison, our vice president of revenue cycle management at FHN, she was teaching a leadership class just about revenue cycle and understanding what revenue cycle was like. And I asked a couple questions, and she's like, "You don't need a job in the revenue cycle, do you?" Flash back another year and a half. I know, right? Flash forward another year and a half, and there's a CBO team leader position open. So interviewed for it. Not 100% sure what true healthcare revenue cycle looked like, but took that leap, and I have loved every moment of it. It is fun. It's a fun time.
Yeah, and now you are a total whiz, and you dream about the revenue cycle. Imagine that.
Every night. Yep, every night we have dreams like, oh my gosh, what happens when just having, heartburn earlier? What happens if we would have a cyber attack? What do we do? How do we get cleaned up? How does money come in? Where do we post it? How do we track it? All those things. Yeah. So, and then how about you? So what led you into revenue cycle?
I was in the call center scope for my teenage to early adult life. I've been in revenue cycle for my entire adult life. But I was with a call center, and I also had some corporate sales background. I needed a position. I had a 2-year-old at the time, and I was just looking for something super part-time. I was finishing or working on my bachelor's. So it was really just a matter of luck, I guess, that I interviewed with Zane at Excalibur. and got the job and started as a bad debt coordinator. So I was flipping accounts to bad debt for FHN. We started with about 5 people in a closet in 2015 when they decided to give us or give Zane a shot at outsourcing, and I was one of the first hires. We had some turnover in the management team shortly after I came on, and Zane asked, "Hey, does anybody want to manage?" And I put my hand up, and I've been here ever since, kind of just going up the
Put your
growth
hand
path.
up.
Yep, put my hand up. That's how it starts, I'm telling you.
It is. Who wants to do this? Oh, maybe I'll give it a shot. And
I
maybe I'll give it a
suppose
shot. Yeah.
I'll try it. Um, but yeah, my real passion, I kind of have dabbled in everything. But my real passion right now is in the technology component. I mean, we've come so far along, but we can get into that later. I wanted to ask you about any mentors you had and kind of where you found or who you found, your passion for this industry and kind of where you prefer to focus. Where do you get the most excitement?
Sure. So, the whole just healthcare aspect, the idea of taking care of people, I think, again, that goes back to being a little kid and out in the public with my mom and having random strangers come up to her and give her a hug and thanking her for the work that she did, and the delivery of their baby. It's sometimes you're a mom, I'm a mom. It could be the happiest day of your life. It could be the scariest day of your life. It might be both. And just amazing to see that kind of a reaction just for going to work and doing your job and just doing well at your job. So that took me down that mental health path. I had a really great clinical supervisor that taught me how to work well and develop those strong relationships with people and, understanding emotional intelligence. And then, coming into FHN and learning more just about the healthcare industry in general, how can we impact people in their daily lives? And it's interesting because a lot of people think of revenue cycle and healthcare revenue cycle, we're the back end. We're maybe not the fun end, because let's face it, as much as, our clinical friends, they get a lot of credit for the work that they do. They're right there with the patient. And
we're the bad guys.
We're the bad guys, we're on the back end, and nobody wants to pay for a unwanted healthcare expense. And so trying to educate our patients, how can we be not just the bad guys, but how can we maybe help them to ensure that their stuff's going to get paid correctly? Making sure they're only having to pay what they need to pay, not some exorbitant amount of money that they weren't anticipating, or if all of a sudden they get caught in that situation. So I think mentors from that standpoint really were Miss Jody Gable. She was my director when I came over to the revenue cycle. And honestly, I wouldn't have taken the leap to go from team leader to interim director and then director of the business office without her leadership. I know she's moved on, and I'm so grateful that, she did recommend that I would be a good fit in this role.
That's funny. I would consider her one of my mentors as well. I've been working with her for a very long time as well. So that's so wonderful to hear. We love her.
Wonderful. Yeah, absolutely. Just a wonderful person, human, and so knowledgeable about revenue cycle. So I'm just, the only thing I regret about that is I only got 1.5 years with her as my direct leader to be able to grow more. So, but then, creating that relationship with Nicole Dennison, our VP, she's, wealth of knowledge and the collaboration and just her really that leadership style of, I want my people to be the best that they are so they can teach me.
And I'm pretty sure every time I talk to her, I get a little bit smarter. She's so intelligent.
Yep. Agreed. And so humble in it. And I know she makes it okay to say, I don't know that question, or let's find that out together. Or, every time I talk to, you or Zane, we'll get to him in a minute too, or, Laura White, any of those, I leave the conversation better for it one way or another, whether it makes me happier, just because we do have some lighthearted conversations, but also just smarter in the revenue cycle. And then definitely Mr. Zane or Dr. Zane Newitt himself, huge mentor. I mean, I can't even begin to describe the amount of knowledge I have learned and continue to learn from him every single time. It's amazing to me. So, and then just how he lifts up his team, how he promotes FHN always as, his flagship team. And he just really takes good care of us here too. So building that relationship and that mentorship has been wonderful.
And I love that this industry is, I mean, I know you and I know each other, but this industry is so family oriented and everybody knows everybody somehow.
Yes.
You and I, we share Jody and Zane as a mentor, and Nicole, I've been working with her for quite some time as well. So I think it's really cool that there's cohesiveness across the industry and that so many women are becoming so powerful here.
Well, and you see that too, because, even on some listservs and other areas, you ask the question and people are so willing. It's kind of like, I hate to say it to this extent, but it's like, it's the healthcare revenue cycle industry against the world, so to speak. Like, how do we partner together to find the tricks of the trade and, wanting to help one another to be successful? Because ultimately, when we're successful, our provider organizations are successful, which means we can continue to take care of people. And we're the people we're taking care of most of the time. We're the patients at our local healthcare organization. So why wouldn't we want to do right by our communities and, our families? So.
Yeah. And then, with, one thing that I would like to start doing is benchmarking different clients and, what is FHN doing over here to, reduce their DNFB days, and this other client over here may be able to benefit from their to-dos. I think that would be, really cool to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about you? I know, so you said we share mentor and Zane and Jody. Anybody else, or what has your journey been with mentorship?
I can contribute 99.9% of my knowledge to Dr. Zane Newitt. Absolutely. I mean, he definitely took me under his wing, and essentially taught me everything I know. And he's a super genius. So I like to consider myself a mini genius because I was raised by the best. I mean, and we have such a good friendship and relationship, and that's just how it should be in this industry. I mean, he was supposed to walk me down the aisle, and then the last minute my son decided, Mom, I want to take you down the aisle. He was up until that moment, he was like, no, Mom, let Zane do it. I don't want to do it. And then last minute my son did, and Zane is very bitter about that. He will let you know.
I'm sure he is. That just goes to show, that type of great professional relationship that the two of you have created, that that's your choice to walk you down the aisle, and he only takes second to your son. Like, that's amazing.
It makes the day-to-day, a lot more enjoyable. I guess I should say that.
Well, you think about it, we're in the trenches all together. So you have to enjoy the people that you are trying to figure out those huge problems with, because let's be honest, sometimes it takes all of our heads together to figure out the answer or the solution. And you got to enjoy the ride too. I mean, how much time do you spend with our coworkers and our peers than you do at home?
In your role, what is your leadership style, and what do you really, feel proud of yourself for during your work week?
These hard-hitting questions.
That's what I'm here for.
I know. I feel like I've had a good work week when I've gotten the chance to teach and grow my own leadership team or a staff member or what have you. I think that that's huge. And honestly, even if I get a chance to have a conversation with a patient and leave them better educated about their own insurance or the process or what needs to occur for them. So I do feel like a lot of leadership is really about raising up your people, because it is they're a direct reflection of me. And I want to make sure that they're equipped as well as they can be in order to take what comes at them. Like I don't want to see anybody fail. I want to see them being successful, and if I can grow them, that's huge. That's what it's all about.
I love the education piece. I mean, even from you have, communication with patients directly, and that's a big problem in the industry, is that people don't understand how their insurance works. They don't understand what financial assistance options they have. They don't understand the regulations. And the more we can educate people that they have these other options, the marketplace isn't all that exists. This expensive insurance isn't all that exists. That, and I hear you talk about that a lot. I mean, there's a lot going on at FHN, and I can see, you just have such a light and such a passion for it, that brings, myself perspective. And that really means a lot. I love that.
We have to stay connected to our patients, because if we don't, what are we doing it all for?
Well, and FHN is in the Freeport, Illinois is such a small community that it's in everybody's family and everybody knows everybody, and you all go to church together.
I had both of my babies at FHN, so it's very connected. I have an aunt that she worked here for 20 some years, left thinking it was, greener pastures, and has come back and been back at FHN again. So it is very family oriented, and I live and work in the communities that I get my doctoring done at. So I might have to go. Yeah, you're like you said, I might have to go see the person at church that I might have had to send to a collection agency. I want to make sure that I've done the right things along the way, so that I can at least know, okay, we tried. We're going to get them some help. Whatever that might look like. So.
Yeah, I think that's pretty outstanding.
Well, and honestly, we couldn't do it without the Excalibur group. So when, you guys started your journey into self-pay accounts receivable, and, taking that leap of faith in FHN to use our patients and our communities to jumpstart Excalibur. And I'll be honest, so before I came over to Revenue Cycle and even knew that there was a third party that was doing self-pay collection, I was the one calling the customer service phone number and asking questions and, setting up a payment plan or what have you. And I had no idea. I know the first time I was like, I've never heard of this person's name before, thinking as I'm working, I'm like, okay, great. There must just be, tucked away at the central business office and that whole other location, and good for them. They have great people. Come to find out, no, it was, Excalibur's, 3, 4, 5 states away, that was just treating me, a patient of FHN, as though they lived and worked in my community. And I think that's the important thing about the Excalibur group, is that there is no difference. And I feel like, that's how you guys treat any contract that you guys work with. So.
Yeah, in the outsourcing realm, we like to consider ourselves an extension of your revenue cycle. We don't portray ourselves to patients as, I'm Kelsey with Excalibur. I would say I'm Kelsey with FHN, and that's just part of the really cool thing about being a part of Excalibur and having grown the organization alongside Zane and everybody else who has been with us for as long as we've existed. It's fun work, it's valuable work, and I really enjoy it. So what's next?
So I was going to say, we've met the Kelsey Ross of Excalibur and Revenue Cycle.
Mhm.
What's Kelsey do when she's not revenue cycling? I know it revenue cycles 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but there's got to be a little sliver of time. What do you like to do
Well,
when
I
you're
sleep
on
occasionally.
time? Okay, well, that's good. That's important.
Just kidding. Um, well, I am a brand new baby runner. I was fitness and some level of exercise has always been a big part of my life since I was 19 years old. And I used to do powerlifting, and it got really painful. You know, our bones don't quite repair or whatever at once we hit a certain age. So I started running, and I am thoroughly addicted. I know that you are a big runner as well.
I am. Yes. Yes. There's something about the endorphins. And I don't know, the more I dive into it, it's all those people that with either actual or perceived trauma scenarios, you're trying to run it out of you. And there's something
Mhm.
good about seeing how far you can push yourself.
For me, it's the opportunity to disconnect. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm so connected to my work life. I'm so connected to my family life, and that's, you know, those are my two biggest, you know, personality traits.
Yeah.
So when I'm running, I'm just with myself, and I get to unplug, not worry about, you know, any notifications. I go into full do not disturb. There's you can because you have a goal, and
Well,
your phone is in your pocket.
you have to focus on, oh my gosh, I feel like I might be dying here. I got to focus on, okay, I got to breathe. And you don't have the chance to quiet the voices in your head. That inner monologue that we've talked so much about. It's your one chance to be able to get it to quiet down enough and focus just on, okay, breathe in, deep breath out. You've got
Hmm.
this.
Hmm. Yeah, I was feeling a little anxious about this interview, and I went for a run this morning. I was like, oh, it's gonna be okay. And that's what I do is if I'm stressed out about something or overwhelmed or trying something new, as in this, I run it out, and then I feel better afterwards. And that's far beyond any type of powerlifting, bodybuilding, you know, anything else that I've ever done in my life.
Yeah. It's also a nice time because most people don't want to chase you. So there's that too. So you can run away from some of the
The bear
things
and the
and just like,
man.
yep. The bear and the man. Oh my goodness. Yes. Oh,
So what do you think is next for you? Are you sticking with revenue cycle forever, or do you have some side ventures that you want to do? What's your ideal future?
oh my goodness. So it's hard to think about, what's the next step. I I love revenue cycling. So one of the things that I think has been so great at FHM because we are tiny, or
Hmm.
tinier. I got the chance a couple of years after becoming director of the business office to also take on the challenge of the patient access department at our hospital system. So that's really been a fantastic additional insight. And I think it's really complemented the back end of the revenue cycle because now we've got the front end. So, and a great group of leaders and staff in, those first faces that are greeting patients as they're walking into the door or coming to the emergency room and they're terrified about whatever their emergency scenario is. Um, and pre-certification, I mean, how huge is that? So, by the
Yeah,
time
you
you'll
can
get
avoid a
pre-certification.
lot of denials by fixing some processes in the front end. So having that well-rounded knowledge is so good for you in your career.
Well, and
It's huge.
it's been huge for the CBO leadership team too to build those connections. We're kind of tucked away, down the street from the hospital, and so don't get to see all of those front end people or those clinicians doing the real work. And I think it's been able to create some better teamwork and everything across the street. So
Mhm.
it's been really nice that way. So definitely continuing to see those relationships grow and seeing where we can implement some technology to even influence our patients at the forefront of how do we talk and communicate with that patient before they ever step foot in for their appointment or their service, because that's really where we can get the impact of providing that education, pre-service collection, co-pays or what have you, just, what kind of insurance do you have now? We're in January of
That's a
a
hard
fresh new
conversation
year.
when somebody's walking into the ER
Right.
or, worried about their health and signing in for an appointment. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's not an easy conversation to have. And
Oh.
I know you and I have been FHN and Excalibur has been working together on, improving the communication at that layer and
Mm-hmm.
different text campaigns. Our digital patient engagement initiative has improved, front end processes and, obtaining insurance where, the patient didn't have it available at the time of service or may not have been lucid or even able to provide it. So
Sure.
there's definitely, I love your technology comment. There's a lot that we're doing that is really exciting for me personally because I'm just a techie geek, but also just for FHN and for the industry too.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's where we have to head. Technology is no more a nice add-on. I think it's really what we have to start thinking about in order to be smarter in everything that we do. Revenue cycle, providing patient care, those front end processes. Patients, many of our patients rely on technology day in and day out. So let's create their service to be set up that way so that it just streamlines in with everything else. I've seen different things where they've got essentially, like an Amazon shopping cart set up. So, and that's how they can go through and register and upload an insurance card and upload their ID. So when they come in, they're not there as long. It doesn't take you 10 minutes to do your check-in and paperwork because you already took care of that when it was convenient to you at 6:30 at night while you're just trying to veg out in front of the couch or on the couch and watch some TV or something. You quickly registered for your visit the next day and took care of all of that. We're all busy. How do we work smarter, not harder necessarily, and how do we help our patients with that?
Yeah, and then we have our staff as well. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Excalibur, one of our biggest initiatives and my personal passion and my baby is the Merlin Project. And that's been, solving staff issues and workflow issues with technology. We have built our most recent iteration of Ask Merlin on the premise of what would I need to know as a busy leader in the industry? Can I just do a one click and see what I need to see? And then also as, an FTE and gov and non-gov, follow-up representative, what do they need to best do their jobs and just from all layers and all areas of the revenue cycle, where can we as consultants and as technology providers, where can we make operators and your teams more capable and more efficient? So I like what you said. It's unavoidable at this point. I mean,
Right.
there's automation, there's AI, there's so many tools that aren't replacing staff, they're enhancing staff. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I find my passion in, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
keeps me going in this industry is, if I can solve a problem in a one click rather than, spending hours doing research and solve it preemptively, then I'm happy. I'm going to bed and I'm going to go for my run and have a great time. I'm not
Yep.
going to stress at all.
Exactly. Yep. Feed me what I need to know so I can take care of it and, know that things are moving smoothly and then
And
let me
go
go
cook
on
some
about my
dinner.
day. Yep. I'm not going to
Yeah.
be getting more FTEs. I'm not, we're not going to be getting more money from our payer sources anymore. So it's not there's not going to be fluff in staffing. There's just not. So yeah, I agree. It's not replacing our staffing. It's being able to allow our staff to do their job in a more efficient way and focus on the accounts that they need to focus on. I don't need to have my staff waste their time, my billers waste their time on 100 tiny little accounts. I need them to be able to focus on their time on that $100,000 denial and use their intelligence, use their experience, and get that turned over and let technology take care of those smaller ones for me. So.
Mhm. And segment their days into like scenarios so they can focus on
Mm-hmm.
one issue at a time. And, it's about efficiency. It's not about, money, money, money. There's so much that this world has to offer, and
Mhm.
that's what keeps me excited, and that's what keeps me here. So
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. How can you break up your day to be most efficient and
Mhm.
using technology? So feed me that data from the day before so I know where I might need to focus my efforts today. What part of the month am I in? Well, how's month end
Using the
looking?
past to predict the future.
Yes. Woo!
Look at us geeking out.
Oh my goodness. Could do this all day, right? I'll do
Just
this
a
all
normal day here in the rev
day.
cycle.
Yep. But those are the fun days. We had a couple calls in the recent past, just how do we make some tiny little tweaks to our workflows and what we focus on, and moving things up a little bit earlier in that, 0 to 30, 31 to 60, how do we impact those areas so that we get them taken care of and they don't end up in our greater than 90 AR where bad debt's huge. So
Yeah,
I think it's great.
I love it. Well, I think our time is up. Do you have any add-ons or commentary?
Hmm.
I just love every time I get to talk to you.
Same.
And one-on-one we don't get too much. So that's
Never,
that's
no.
nice to
You're
be
always in the
able
background just working on that technology and geeking out, and I
to.
have a crazy busy schedule, and sometimes our stars don't always align on the same meeting. So it's awesome to be able to have this time together and talk shop. Go
Yeah, you
revenue
too.
cycle geeks, let's go.
And go women leaders in the industry.
Yes, we make the world go round.
Yep. What would they do
Or the
without
revenue
us?
cycle go round, or both. I don't know.
Make the cycle cycle.
That's right.